Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So, I was asking some viewers the other day for ideas as to what they would like to see in some upcoming videos, and one of them that was mentioned was comparisons of various aircraft between DCS and IL-2. So, first plane that comes to mind to me that I know for certain that we have in both is the Focke-Wulf 190 D-9 Dora. So I'm jumping in DCS World first today, and what we'll do is I'll try to put together a comparison of these two planes to kind of give you an idea of what it offers in DCS and then what it offers in IL-2. So this is very much like my first impressions video in a sense, because I'm going to go through here and I'm going to show you content-wise. So what do you get content-wise with the Focke-Wulf 190? Well, you have a variety of instant action missions that are already predetermined for you and scripted, ready to go. Got a nice variety in the default map, 4 from Nevada, 5 from Normandy, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in Persian Gulf. And then if you go under missions, and then you pick Focke-Wulf 190 D9, you got 3 missions. You have a small handful of training missions. So in terms of scripted, ready-to-go missions and content, I think what's here is fair. It's not overboard. And then, you know, DCS has this create fast mission generator, and it's not really ideal to be used with the World War II stuff, because what you really can't do is set things to US versus the Reich, and you have to do that from the regular mission editor. So you can use this to, and I've showed you this in videos in the past, where you use the create fast mission generator to give you a template and then open what you've just created from this in the mission editor, and then from there you can set things better for a World War II scenario. But this isn't user-friendly at all, and it's usually just not very good, and it has been there since the start, so I pretty much ignore create fast mission in DCS World because it's just lame. And then there is a campaign for the Dora that comes with it, and it's the challenge campaign, which is a, you know, okay, take off, land with wind coming at the side, go through a hoop, shoot some planes. It's just not the average campaign that you would expect, and it's not very much fun. But let's take a look now at what the cockpit looks like and what it has to offer in that respect visually. Alrighty, this is the 2D cockpit in the Focke-Wulf 190 D-9 Dora in DCS World. So I have everything active paused at the moment, so I can take you through here. So I'm just going to zoom in as best I can and try to slowly go over what everything looks like in the cockpit. Notice the throttle and how it has almost like a ribbed design on it. And then that wire that leads from the top of it to the forward there, that's kind of cool. As you look at this cockpit, even though we're looking at it on a 2D screen, it has a level of depth to it. I feel like I could reach out and I can reach behind those red buttons and go back 2 or 3 inches to the panel behind it. See how the shadow is hitting that panel behind it, because those 3 buttons, that panel that has the 3 buttons is sitting in front of it. There is a true depth and a very 3D look to this cockpit, even though it is drawn on a 2D monitor. The texture detail is fantastic. Notice right here, I'm not sure what that panel is back there that says OS, MV, MV, OV, OV, but remember that. And then you got some blue gauges, you got some copper colored gauges. I believe that's the dial for the convergence there, for wingspan. Cool stuff. Let's look down this side here. And I can really look around in the cockpit. I'm using my track IR to kind of zoom around here and look at it from different angles. So as you can see, this really appears to be a 3D cockpit that is built in a 2D image. Very cool how they've done this and the level of detail that goes into these cockpits. But you know, DCS is known for this. They really are. And it's not surprising. And then there's my gun sight. I'm going to look up. That's what it looks like above you. Let's look out at the wing. Really nice level of weathering and detail there of a panel that probably opens and closes a lot. Let's look behind us. Kind of looking at our 6. Got that little warning sign right there. Let's look around the other side. And that's pretty much it for the cockpit. Lots of really nice texture detail though. Just like the bolts, you can almost touch them if you feel like you could see those welds and everything in there too, kind of popping out a little bit. Stressing right there. It's the minute details, and that's something they're really good at Eagle Dynamics. And the third-party developers that make a lot of these modules for them are equally as talented at the minute details. Now, let's take a look externally and see what it looks like. Now it's a little bit louder externally, but something I want to concentrate on. Notice where the paint is worn off, where maybe the pilot would stand on the crease of the wing there to get into the cockpit. And then all the smudges against the fuselage there going up to the canopy where the canopy would open and the pilot would get in. That's a pretty nice touch. Very cool. As always, you can see some really nice riveting, some rivet details. They really overlook nothing when it comes to detail in DCS. Now, overall, I would say this has a very photorealistic look to it. Now, one thing I noticed in DCS is I have a dual stage trigger. So the first press are the guns. Second press is guns and cannon. So I'm firing the lower guns as well by engaging that second stage of the trigger. Pretty cool. But again, notice how this side doesn't have that same wear and tear because the pilot must be getting in on the left side. And again, these are just little observations, things that I'm noticing. The average person probably wouldn't care about this or think about this. End result is just a photorealistic looking plane, photorealistic looking cockpit. And the cockpit is also affected by the shadowing and the lights really well. As I turn here and pull it around, things are changing. And again, this cockpit looks 3D even though I'm viewing it on a 2D panel. I really get the feeling that there's depth to this by the way they've rendered this. Very cool stuff. Sound effects, I'd say they're good. I mean, I've not really heard anything in DCS that sounded terrible by any means ever either. So, and the one area where DCS usually excels, and everybody would agree with this that I've ever spoken to or heard talking about the modules and whatnot between the two, between this and IL-2, is that the flight modeling is better. The ballistics modeling may be slightly better. What DCS sorely lacks is damage modeling for the AI warbirds. It's just abysmal when it comes to damage modeling. It's something they're working on, but it's nonetheless something that has to be mentioned when comparing these two products, because because that's where IL-2 is fairly superior, especially with the latest update they've come out with. But that is the simulation as a whole, not necessarily just the Dora, which we're here comparing today. So let's go take a look at the Focke-Wulf 190 D-9 Dora in IL-2 now. Okay guys, this is IL-2 Stormovik Great Battles, and what we're looking at is the Focke-Wulf 190 D-9 Dora, and what it looks like in IL-2. Pretty cool by the look of things, but let's take a look at what you actually get with it in terms of content, so I can fairly compare this to the DCS version, which I did previously. So, when it comes to missions in IL-2, they do things slightly different. This plane is a collector's plane that comes with the premium version of the Battle of Bodenplatte, or if you were to purchase it separately, I believe for like 20 bucks. When they're on sale, collector's planes I've seen as low as $5, but since this is one of the latest releases, it probably won't be on sale for that cheap for a while yet. That's just how it goes. So, these are different products. Battle of Stalingrad, Battle of Moscow, Battle of Kuban. Battle of Bodenplatte, I believe, is still being worked on, so they don't have missions that come with it yet. So normally you would get a product, and the planes that you have may have a mission listed under each battle scenario. But since this plane is Battle of Bodenplatte plane, and that part isn't done yet, we don't have any missions listed under the single player missions for it. There are no training missions to speak of, unfortunately. Campaigns are something else altogether, to be honest. So when it comes to content, you're either going online, multiplayer, which you can do in DCS as well, and they have some very amazing online servers that do nothing but World War II stuff. Very period-specific, fun stuff in general, and IL-2 has that same atmosphere as well. Some would say that IL-2 has an even larger online player base than DCS does with the Warbirds, because IL-2 is more established as the World War II sim. But for offline single-player stuff, quick mission is where you're going to spend most of your time. So with this quick mission generator in IL-2, which is fantastic versus the one that comes with DCS, I can pick here, I can pick the plane that I want to use. So I'm going to take the 190 D9. I can go in here, even though I'm picking a, basically this is a free flight mission when there's no other planes against it. I could pick the 1 versus 1, or I could pick the many versus many. But if I select all of these, then these will be ground targets that are in my map in this vicinity when I start the mission. Very cool stuff. I can pick the weather and time as well. I'll go start. So here we are. This is where it leaves you. Now you can go to the setup of the plane which you are going to fly. At this point I can scroll around the model, which looks fantastic. Beautiful plane. Looks really nice in the hangar like that. I can go modification. I can choose a bubble canopy, a gyro sight, rockets, other rockets, different bombs. Very cool shit. I'll take the bubble canopy for fun. You know what? Not yet. And you go here to where you can choose your paint scheme. I'm going to stick with this basic one because I think it looks closest to what that basic one looked like before. Then pilot stuff, you could pick a photo, you could put a photo in there that shows up in your cockpit. It's whatever. But the nice thing is you do this right here and you can change the paint scheme. Now in DCS you got to go into the mission editor, choose liveries. It's not as easy just to jump in there and pick stuff. I can do this every time before I start. I can go to modifications and do this every time before I start. So it's pretty cool. You could change the convergence right here before you start. I'm going to hit accept and I'm going to hit start. Alrighty. Oh, this guy needs to shut up. So we are in the cockpit of the IL-2 Focke-Wulf 190 D-9 Dora. So, at a glance, everything looks nice. Nothing looks bad about it at all. But it's a different art style. It's hard to get the lighting just right. So, I'm going to do the same thing I did in DCS. We're going to start here, we're going to look around. Now, notice the throttle is different. There was a ribbed throttle in DCS, and this one's just smooth by the look of things. All your gauges kind of look the same. Notice down here, these are blue as well, the O2 one, and that other button down there. So that is something I noticed that was similar. Oh, this guy needs to shut up. So down here, if I move the stick out of the way, you're missing that little sign or control or whatever that was in the cockpit of the DCS D9. Not sure what that is or what it was for. But I'm going to look around in the cockpit here. Try to get the light to hit it just right. So again, I think it looks beautiful, but it's a different art style. There's your reticle, very similar. Actually, I think I like the reticle in the IL-2 stuff better than I like in DCS, and that's just a preference thing. But, however, looking right here at this texture, this brown texture that surrounds the cockpit area, as you look at it, it does not give me the feeling of true depth perception. I don't feel like I could stick my finger in behind here and get up under. You know what I mean? It doesn't feel like it's as 3D to me as the DCS cockpit. I mean, maybe if I move my head around like this a little bit, I could see in there, but at a glance, it just doesn't have that 3D look and feel, or as much depth perception, shall I say, as what the DCS cockpit has. And again, I don't think it looks bad at all by any means. There's nothing terrible looking about this. I think it's beautiful. It's a work of art in its own right. And the artists who, do these cockpits are freaking amazing. There's that sign. There's that padding. Let's look behind myself. Actually, I think looking to my 6 in IL-2 is a little bit less cumbersome, and I can see more than I can in the Dora in DCS. So that's a plus. So let's look out at the wings. Nice wear and tear. Lots of nice little weathered details. Very cool stuff. Same thing out there. See some rivets. Let's go external. Okay. This is where we're going to see some more differences. So, I don't see that weathering that they had where the pilot steps on the wing to get up into the cockpit in the IL-2 version. And again, I think it's just a matter of the artist's interpretation of what something should look like. Because I'm looking at this going, it's beautiful. It doesn't look terrible in any way. It doesn't even look bad. It looks fantastic. But I'm here to do a comparison, and that is the difference, is you don't see the paint worn off where the pilot would step where the crease of the wing meets the fuselage there by the cockpit. You do see some minor weathering and detail, though, around the canopy area. So there's that. Around the cowling there, you see some weathering. You see some weathering on the tips there of the wings. You see some charring there around where the engine's firing. Again, everything, it looks fantastic, but it is a different art style, I believe, and it's a different type of art that is being conveyed here. I think this is their interpretation of realism, which isn't bad by any means. Now, the one thing I noticed that's different is in DCS, in the 190, I have a dual stage trigger, and I press the first press is the upper guns, and then the second press is the cannons in the bottom there on the wing tips of the wings. In IL-2, I'm firing all guns at once. Now, I didn't dig in here. There might be a keybind that I could separate them, but this is just how it is when I started out. I haven't changed anything. So right out of the box, this is how it's set up for me. And at a glance, I think I enjoy the visual effects of the guns firing in IL-2 more than I do in DCS on the Dora. I also think the pilot looks nicer. It's a very cool pilot model. You can see him doing things, bobbing his head around in the cockpit, looking around, just being focused. Very cool. It's a nice touch. It's definitely a nice touch. So those are the differences visually that I could think of, you know, between these two products. I think they both look absolutely outstanding. I think DCS has them beat in terms of, you know, photorealism in the cockpit, better lighting effects in the cockpit, I think. But that's not to say there's anything wrong with this one, because there isn't. I think the flight models in DCS are, as everybody has said all along, a hair more realistic. But what IL-2 has over DCS is a believable damage model when killing the AI and shooting at AI, and the way things, you know, the various things that can occur. In DCS at times things seem like they're invincible. And it hasn't been updated in ages. Now, granted, in all fairness, Eagle Dynamics is working on an updated World War II damage model for all their warbirds. But until then, IL-2 seems to be the clear winner in terms of fun factor. There's a better look over the Rhine land. So let's talk price for a minute. DCS World, the Focke-Wulf 190D-9 will cost you, I believe, $49.99 when it's not on sale, and $24.99 when it's on sale. $25, it's a reasonable value. Any of those warbirds, I think, are pretty cool for the price. But this is a collector's plane, so it's a premium costing plane for IL-2. And most of the collector's planes can be anywhere between $19.95 or $19.99 and I want to say $24.99. And I've seen them as low as $5 on sale, between $4.99 and $9.99 when they're on sale at times. Or you pay, I think, an extra. You don't get the regular standard version. You get the premium version, and you get 2 collector's planes with each of the products. So Battle of Bodenplatte had the D9 Dora and the P-38, and those were the collector's planes. If you got the premium version, you got them with it, or you purchased them separately. I'm going to say DCS has the better looking cockpit. DCS has the better flight model. DCS has really beautiful photorealistic scenery. However, IL-2 looks fantastic in its own right, and the Dora that is in IL-2, as you can see, looks fantastic as well. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just, you know, DCS one looks better. Things are clickable in the cockpit in the DCS version. Things are not clickable in the IL-2 version. However, being able to jump in and have fun is worth something. and you definitely have a variety of scripted missions that come with DCS and that are ready to go, but they're kind of limited in scope. In the quick mission generator here in IL-2, you could set up so many different types of missions so quickly and do everything from air to air and then lead right into air to ground by selecting to have those ground units populated in the map. And you can pick any of the maps that you own to do this in with any plane that you own. So I would say in terms of fun factor, IL-2 Great Battles version of the Dora is definitely hands down the winner in terms of accessibility and fun factor. I think these things are going to change as we progress, and DCS and Eagle Dynamics ups their game with their World War II stuff. They do have the upcoming Marianas map. They have a P-47 coming out. You know, they're making progress, but they really have to get to the core of things. And the other thing to keep in mind is in 2D and in VR both, IL-2 is a much better performer than DCS as well. So it's going to be more accessible on a mid-range system and a lower range system than DCS is as well. So if you factor everything in together, at present, and this is no surprise, but at present IL-2 is usually the true winner in most anything World War II. DCS is super fun, super fantastic looking, you know what I mean? If you want the best looking of everything with the best flight model, then DCS is the way to go. If you want accessibility and outright fun that looks fantastic in its own right, and it just uses a slightly different art style or just a different artist's interpretation of what this plane should look like, then the Stormovic version of the Dora is the way to go. So I'm going to leave it at that, guys. I think they both have their place, and there's nothing wrong with either one of them. Check them out yourself, and I will include links in the video as well where you can find these at both respective websites. But thanks for watching. Please subscribe to the channel. Feel free to hit that like button, and until next time.